The first votes in this election cycle were cast as Iowans caucused on one of the coldest nights of the year. We know that brutal cold kept some voters from getting out. 40% fewer showed up than did the last time former President Trump was on the ballot. Others lining up in their cars around the block in some precincts to be part of Monday night's discussions. We also know for sure what was basically obvious 4 months ahead of time. The former President Donald Trump was going to run away with Iowa. To talk more about the first voter moves in this election cycle and where things go from here, our Republican strategist Tim Rosales and Democratic consultant Andrew Acosta. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Morning.
Morning.
In the last few weeks, we've heard so much about Nikki Haley's surge, but that was not the case in very conservative Iowa. Haley coming in behind Ron DeSantis in the voting, albeit slightly, and both of them very distant second and third to Trump. Tim, what about her message maybe just isn't resonating with this crowd, or is Iowa just too conservative to get behind a possible female president?
Well, I mean, let's remember it was just a few years ago that Iowa was represented by Democrats and it was considered a solidly Democratic state. Has a female U.S. senator right now. I think Haley has to be able to break into though conservative voters, right? More conservative voters, and that is a base of Republican primary, and so she needs to figure that out. And I don't see a pathway unless she can do that. Ron DeSantis, though, needs to, be able to grow his base. I think that at the end of the day, one of them is going to need to decide here in short order whether or not they're going to stay in or drop out. Because as it sits right now, with the two of them in the race, there can be, really no legitimate challenge at this point on the Republican side to Donald Trump. And with two of them there, it just really divides up the vote. Not to say that maybe they're even if there was just one that they would challenge Donald Trump, but with two of them in there, definitely not a challenge.
All righty, Andrew, what's your take on Nikki Haley's message getting through and or not?
Well, it's a small slice of voters. I mean, clearly the majority of people have bought into the Trump messaging. She's a counter to that. She's talking about moving forward, not living in the past. And, it doesn't seem to be resonating as with Republican voters, at least not in Iowa. We'll see what happens in the other states. But I'd have a hard time thinking that there's enough of that vote out there. I mean, the recent polling even here in California, one of the bluest states around, it's showing that Trump is increasing his vote share.
All right, the latest CNN polls have indicated that Nikki Haley has trimmed Donald Trump's lead on New Hampshire to single digits. Her support and that of DeSantis combined last night are still less than what Trump secured alone. So, Andrew, is the New Hampshire electorate all that different from the folks who voted last night in Iowa?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a diverse state like California, but it's a sort of libertarian-esque state, and they have an open primary system that people can vote, differently than the caucus system in Iowa. So you could see her doing a little bit better, but then it's all spin. And if Trump sort of puts both barrels at her and starts blasting away, then we'll see what happens. I think it's fascinating to see how much money is spent in these races and how you're getting 20,000 votes. I think there'll probably be less people voting in Iowa total than what you'll have voting in the mayor's race here in Sacramento. And they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars there. It's crazy.
Wow. Tim, can folks in the Granite State correct Iowa, as Nikki Haley joked recently?
Well, that's her hope, I think. And certainly she needs that at this point. She needs to perform, well in New Hampshire. But what I think is happening, with Donald Trump, and it's a problem, you see it with candidates like Haley and DeSantis, and even on the Democratic side, is that there is, this gap between you've got your working class Democrats and Republicans, and your college educated Democrats and Republicans. And Donald Trump is increasingly appealing to those working class Democrats and Republicans, as he did kind of in 2016. And you've got Biden, DeSantis, Haley kind of, vying for these college-educated Democrats and Republicans. And so it's kind of the pull between the haves and the have-nots right now on messaging. And Donald Trump, has done a very good job at, appealing to people who have some angst and are not happy with where they're at. Both Democrats, Republicans, and those who are consider themselves a little bit more independent. And he seems to be growing with those types of voters, and that's a problem for every other candidate.
Alrighty, we're almost out of time, but I want to ask you both. Californians will be voting this year earlier than ever before with a March primary, but given the current political landscape, we know that the November matchup we know it's going to be Biden-Trump. So does this move for greater relevance not really have very much impact this year, Tim?
Andrew and I were just talking about this off camera, and I don't think people are ready for a March, primary here in California. It's pretty quick, and we don't traditionally have that, or we have that, in certain years and not in other years. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see what voter turnout is in March, because I don't think most voters have really clued in. And the presidential campaign drives everything, but you've got a lot of local races and primaries and things like that on the ballot, and that's going to be tough in terms of voter turnout.
Alrighty, Andrew. So voter turnout, any other concern? Just the fact that not really having the oomph in March for all of this?
Yeah, no, last time we had a March primary, the turnout in Sacramento County was less than 50%. I'm assuming this is going to be worse because there's really no presidential race that's going to be top of mind for voters, as Tim said. I mean, that's where the energy comes from for these races. It's not, running for state assembly or, state senate. It's really the top of the ticket. So I could see this being kind of a dud.
All righty. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Of course, we will be looking ahead to New Hampshire next week to see how all of that breaks down. But as you all have pointed out, highly suspect it's going to be the same two names that we're going to be talking about, Biden and Trump. Thank you so much.
Thank you.